Somewhere along the way, midlife got a bad reputation. The mood swings, the sleepless nights, the belly fat, and that moment you look in the mirror and think, who is that? And if you're in it right now, I want you to hear this. You are not falling apart, you're falling awake, and that changes everything. Everything you're feeling right now doesn't have to be the end, it can be a beautiful beginning. And I'm going to show you why. We all used to think that 50 was so old, and it's no wonder. That's what society taught us. Youth was to be celebrated, and midlife was meant you were on decline. Gray hair, wrinkles, slowing down, maybe dressing more comfortably than fashionably, losing your edge. It was time for you to pass the torch to the younger generation and sit back and relax. And then think about the Golden Girls TV show. It came out in 1985. Blanche and Dorothy were portrayed as our age. And if you go back and watch it, you'll see exactly what Hollywood thought our 50s should look like. You hang out with people our age for any length of time, there'll be some complaining about aches and pains and things they don't like about old age. And everyone will say, just get used to it. That's just part of aging. But is it? We're not sure quite where we fit yet. We're not in the active parenting stage or in that young adult era, and we're certainly not ready to go to the assisted living. We're in this in-between spot where it can sometimes feel like the best years are behind us and we have nothing to look forward to. But what if that's just wrong? Because here's what's actually happening. Just like in your car, when your GPS has to recalculate when you decide to take a different route, your mind and body are recalibrating. They're not quitting. That questioning, that restlessness, shifting of priorities is just your awareness. And without that awareness, you can't make changes because we never make changes out of our comfort zone. You start to ask yourself, who do I want to be? How do I want to feel? What do I really want? What do I want my legacy to look like? I know I didn't always have the time to ask myself those questions, and I felt selfish for even thinking about it. But in this midlife season, you have time and permission. Look to those that you see ahead of you that are aging well. Copy what they're doing. And those that aren't doing it as well, make sure you're not repeating some of their bad habits. In this season, even your body starts to talk to you. At first, it might be a whisper, but if you don't listen, those symptoms get louder and louder. Yes, sometimes those solutions are things that are uncomfortable. Now, if I'm being honest, I would have never changed the way I ate if menopause hadn't hit me so hard. If I hadn't gained 30 pounds, felt like overnight. If I hadn't started getting random aches and pains and feeling older than I should. All of those uncomfortable ways my body was talking to me was like, pay attention. And when I finally did and started making small adjustments, I started waking up, feeling better and more alive and more like myself. Making changes in your life, in your lifestyle habits, isn't always easy. But in this midlife season, you're being invited to start paying attention. And when you start paying attention, you start waking up to becoming the woman that God created you to be. Who you were before you started taking care of everyone's needs, started trying to do what was expected of you. You get to wake up and figure out what you really want, who you really want to be in this next season. You start to pay attention to who is in that close circle of friends. Some of those relationships give you energy and some drain you. And midlife makes it harder to ignore the difference. And yes, sometimes this is some family relationships which makes it harder. But making sure you surround yourself with people who have a growth mindset, who believe good things are still in our future, who find ways around the limitations of aging, and continue to have a better outlook and to improve so that we keep getting better as we age. Surrounding yourself with those kind of people becomes so important. When you wake up to what you actually want, maybe for the first time, you're giving yourself permission to start living instead of just performing. So, what does it actually look like when you start leaning in? Now, I'm not going to kid you, thriving in midlife doesn't feel the same as it did when we were 25. Yes, we are going to have some limitations here and there, regardless of how healthy our lifestyle is, but we don't let it stop us. We work towards feeling the best that we can with the body we're given. We have stronger habits in place that we know help us to feel our best. We have clearer priorities on what's worth our time and what no longer serves us. For me, health has become more about aging well than it is about looking a certain way. And that really helps me make those habits stick a whole lot easier. I notice when I don't eat right, I pay for it. I notice when I've been sitting too long that I get sluggish and don't have the energy to do the things I want. I notice when stress becomes too loud and I need to dial in my self care. My body talks to me and I finally am paying attention. And it's not only my healthy habits that have changed, it's what actually goes on my calendar. As a former people pleaser, I'm finally only saying yes to things I want to, things I'm excited about, things I feel like I can learn something new about, things that light me up. And I no longer say yes out of obligation because I know I'll just dread when that thing comes up. I want my time spent on learning and growing and having fun. And that's what has made this midlife season so much sweeter. Ask yourself, what sounds fun? What do I really want to do? Would I say yes if I didn't care what other people thought? And when limitations come up, ask yourself, what can I do? Sometimes that answer isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. This season can be your most intentional one yet. I'd love to know, what is one thing that has you excited about this season? I know the women I see thriving in midlife aren't fighting aging, they're working with it. We finally have more resources, research, conversation, and support around menopause than ever before. We finally know that 50 doesn't mean we have to shrink into the background. Our faith, our clarity, and purpose get to deepen here like no other time in our life. I want you to begin with the end in mind. What do you want that last decade of your life to look like? Once you have a clear picture of that, start creating habits and setting yourself up to get there. You were made for such a time as this. Aging is a privilege that not everyone gets. So I hope you find ways around the struggles, make changes to make your life better, and chase after becoming the woman God created you to be. Midlife is a turning point if you change your mindset. Without that shift, you only age like our parents and grandparents did. You do have another option, and I cover it in this video here.